I am very much like Donald because I think we're both from New York. We're both kind of street savvy and understand what's happening to America. And some very bad things are happening to America. And if you're smart, you don't mind offending people by telling the truth and being politically incorrect, which I am. You know, Larry King just couldn't believe when I was on with him an hour and a half ago, he just couldn't believe that I would defend some of the ideas that are out there in the Republican Party. He couldn't believe, not that it's a topic today, I know, but he couldn't believe that I would say that Obamacare is a terrible failure and a disaster, and said, why do you say that? And I said, well, could it be because my insurance was $500 a month for my family of 6 when Obama became president and called it a disaster, and he solved it and fixed it, and today it's $1,700 a month, and it pays for nothing, zero. Used to pay for everything for $500 a month, now it pays for nothing for $1,700 a month. And I said, you don't think that's fraud? You don't think people should go to prison for that? And he said, what? Are you trying to say that Barack Obama purposely, are you saying that Obama purposely misled the American people? And I said, well, Larry, you don't need to go by my word. It's a fact that at the exact moment he said, if you like your church, you can keep it. If you like your doctor, you can keep it. If you like your hospital, you can keep it. And your rates are going to go down $2,500 per person, per family, per year. At that exact moment, internal White House documents said, and I quote, 95 million Americans will lose their insurance. Now, I'm in the private sector. If I do that, I'm in prison for life like Bernie Madoff. It's called fraud. Someone needs to hold them accountable. Someone needs to put people in jail. So I thought I'm the perfect guy to write a commentary with the following title that even Frank didn't want to read. Obama is the worst degenerate gambler in history. So the point of the article was, everybody's afraid of terrorism who has common sense. The definition to me of a degenerate gambler is somebody who makes bets that you cannot win. And you're betting with your mortgage money and your children's college education money. And what Barack Obama is doing is he's the worst ever because he's betting with your money and your children's lives. And if you bring in Syrian refugees, I would argue, like Donald Trump, that if you bring in Muslim immigrants of any kind without the proper vetting, and that's the important point, without the proper vetting. Nobody, I think, believes that because of a person's religion they shouldn't be let into America, but I do believe that there should be a pause, a moratorium. You could call it a ban, I'd call it a temporary moratorium, and probably the way it should have been pitched was a temporary moratorium on all immigration of any nation, of any race, of any religion in the United States until we could figure out how to properly vet. But specifically, Syrians from the war zone is a gamble that I don't think any smart human being would ever take. Now, here's my argument that not one Republican I've ever heard makes. Forget about the obvious gamble that, you know, if there's 100 Syrian refugees and 99 of them are very nice people and one of them is a terrorist, that kind of ruins everything, doesn't it? And if it's your kid that gets killed, that kind of ruins everything. My hero Ronald Reagan once said, when your neighbor loses their job, it's a recession. When you lose yours, it's a depression. And so when your kid dies at the Boston Marathon, it's more of a depression than a recession now, isn't it? So I don't want my kids' lives to be gambled by Barack Obama on the fact that there won't be a few bad apples out of Syrian refugees when the head of ISIS has stated out loud on numerous occasions that they have smuggled 5,000 terrorist murderers into Western Europe as part of the Syrian refugee situation. What would make you think that the #1 target in the world is not the United States of America or my hometown of New York or my present hometown of Las Vegas? What would make you think they're not smuggling people in right now and aiming them for us right now? So we've got 2 problems. We have massive Muslim immigration, actually 3 problems. Massive Muslim immigration under Obama. We don't know, we can't vet them properly. Time almost up. We can't vet them properly. We don't know what their intent is. The United States government is incompetent and has no way to tell me if they're dangerous to us, to our children, to our families. No way. Ask them about the San Bernardino woman. We've got Syrian refugees we're facing, another disaster, and we've got an open border that we're facing, an absolute tragedy I've been writing about for 2 years now. Open border. We don't need to bring in Muslim or Syrian refugees, military-age males. They're coming over the border in droves. ISIS knows the border's open. Al-Qaeda knows the border's open. Taliban knows the border's open, and they're sending them over. How do I know? We have found prayer rugs in the area of the border, Muslim prayer rugs. We have found paraphernalia written in Muslim languages. We know they're coming over. And the question is, what's their intent? And I guarantee you the intent isn't good. Now, one of my friends is a border agent. Works for the U.S. Customs and Border Agency. And he called me to let me know that he could lose his job for telling me this, but as long as I kept him anonymous, I could tell everyone. So I wrote a column about it 2 months ago that they had just captured 11 military-age male Pakistanis at the San Diego border. And that had never happened before in his 20 years as a border agent. He's never seen Pakistanis in large groups, all military-age male, all carrying cash like drug mules, and all of them claiming they had no passports, so they could not be identified. Well, it turns out that we shared information with the Mexican government, and their border patrol reported that all of them landed via plane in Mexico with passports showing they were Pakistanis, and somewhere between the landing in Mexico and arriving at our border, they ditched their passports. Do you think their intent was good? Anyone in this room? Can I hear a no? Do you think maybe they have ill will towards us? Yes? But yet, this is happening. The government didn't announce it. Nobody makes a big deal about it. One person in America knew about it, Wayne Root, outside of the Border Patrol Agency. I wrote about it, and it didn't even create a stir, and nobody cared. No one gives a damn in the media. They don't care, because their agenda is helping Obama, supporting Obama, defending Obama, championing Obama, and soon it'll be helping, championing, and supporting Hillary Clinton, even though we all know in this room that if it was a Republican guilty of everything Hillary's guilty of, he'd be in prison for the next 20 years. Everybody knows that. The crimes that Hillary Clinton has committed, no Republican on earth could get away with. And I'm not talking about Benghazi. I'm not talking about the emails. I'm not talking about the secret surveillance emails, all top secret emails. All I'm talking about is, can you imagine a Republican Secretary of State working for a Republican president starting a foundation for charity that collects money from foreign governments by the hundreds of millions and billions, and then takes the money in and hands out government contracts to the same country that made the contribution from the State Department? That's not a criminal offense. That's a hanging treasonous offense.
Okay. With next table, right behind. Right here. Yep.
My friend here wants to know if we're going to nail Hillary. Is she going to go to jail?
Is Hillary going to go to jail, you're asking? I don't know the answer to that. I don't know if Comey, the FBI director, is totally on the straight and narrow. I've written many articles. I'm on the record as saying I believe we've got massive blackmail going on in the United States government. The NSA, the IRS, their goal is to find out everything about Republicans, not everybody, Republicans. They audit Republicans. The numbers are staggering. No one in the media wants to report it. I'll bet if you did a study of who was audited in the last 7 years, it's like 50-1 Republican donors versus Democratic donors. They want to know everything about us, especially Republican politicians in Washington, D.C., and then they blackmail them. Is Comey susceptible to that? I have no idea. But I certainly have my suspicions about the Supreme Court Justice of the United States voting twice for Obamacare.